What is a self-referencing sector? A self-referencing sector is a sector that references itself. As we know, sectors are all composed of line defs. Line defs have a front side and a back side. When you're making a self-referencing sector, first of all, finalize them as late into the process as you can. I'm just going to summarize an entire list of forewarnings with finalize your self-referencing sectors as late as possible. In order to create one, first I'm going to set this one up correctly for this example. So I want to be able to hop over a little ledge here, but if I just raise an untextured thing, it's going to be Hall of Mirrors. I could raise it way tall up, then you can't jump over it, but it won't Hall of Mirrors. It'll just be an invisible boundary that you can see through. May as well use line block, or may as well use impassable line defs at that point. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a sector to have the proper height that I want to be able to jump over, and I'm going to go in. First of all, make sure all of the, before you actually make the self-referencing sector, make sure all of the line defs are pointing the same way. I use the rectangle tool because it simply has all the line defs front faces pointing towards the sector I want to make self-referencing. Once you've got the basic setup, click your sector. In sector mode, switch to line def mode so all your line defs are selected. Edit your line defs and copy the front side sector index to the back side. And now when I go in, no Hall of Mirrors, but I've got a boundary and I can stand on it. I can join this to a sector that's out of bounds and raise and lower its height invisibly if I want like a mid-texture door that opens, and then I can do some sectors that like lower into the floor, raise into the ceiling to move the mid-texture instantly, or whatever. You can get crazy with it. There's a lot of implications, but the important thing is that now I have an invisible boundary. I can manipulate it. When you're in visual mode in editor, self-referencing sectors don't show up. You can't interact with them, and there are so many ways to botch your self-referencing sectors. The number one advice I can give you when first creating them, in addition to finalize them as late as possible, always make sure that you have one self-referencing sector have its own container sector. None of their line defs should touch each other. And the self-referencing sector's ID should always be higher than its container sectors. I can't stress that basic rule enough and how easy it is to fuck up. Like if I'm doing this, and then I'm like, I'm going to make a self-referencing sector here. This is going to be a self-referencing sector. And then I'm like, oh, I also want to put one over here. Well, you don't want two self-referencing sectors in the same parent or container sector. And you also want their containers to be as close to the self-referencing sector itself as possible. So you might think, just cut this in half or something. But now you've got a problem of, this sector's ID is 20 and its container's sector ID is 22. If you make this a self-referencing sector, it's going to be broken Hall of Mirrors, and this one's going to work because its sector ID is 21 and its parent is 19. And if I were to try and copy and paste sectors in order to get this fixed, if I go below the number of sectors that I had when I implemented, say, this sector, then this sector ID is going to get reshuffled around after I make it self-referencing. This sector ID is going to get shuffled around, and it's going to break all of your self-referencing sectors somewhere, and you fix that one, and it's going to break them somewhere else. These things are really finicky. You are exploiting a bug in the engine in order to get a arguably unintended effect, but at least, hopefully, now that you know how to make them, you'll be able to find some use in them and follow the most basic forewarning. Implement them. Lazy implementation. Implement these things as late as possible. You can throw your mid texture up, not define any of your self-referencing sector setup sectors, like the parent container that I have here. Just don't even make those. Just put these mid textures here. Just treat them like you can't walk over them. Fuck it. Make them impassable. I don't care. Whatever you got to do in testing to get the testing working without actually implementing these things or even creating them. Create them as late as possible. Finalize your map with them, and they shouldn't break on you unless you make further edits after you implement them. Okay, good luck, Godspeed, I love you, bye.